Is there a connection between blood sugar regulation and cognitive health that most people don't even think about?
Yes, it's hugely important. So as much as I just talked about the gut microbiome affecting all these different parts of your body, sometimes I don't even go that route right away. And the reason being is that with blood sugar regulation, it is really of utmost importance to the body. So your body does have an exquisite mechanism system to deal with either low blood sugar, high blood sugar. So that's the way the body's designed, which is unbelievable. That's the way God designed it. However, what we do to it causes the fluctuation, or what I say the roller coaster blood sugar. And that's a very stressful situation in the body. Once in a while, yeah, I can handle that. But if you do it on a daily basis and that chronic stress, that's an issue. And what it comes down to is that once your blood sugar is on that roller coaster, the body's exquisite system to deal with that is with cortisol. So people equate cortisol with stress and that sort of things. And that is what blood sugar dysregulation is. So if you're on that roller coaster blood sugar, that's an internal stress. So the body, the brain, basically hypothalamus produces corticotropin releasing hormone that tells the pituitary, hey, you guys need to produce adrenal corticotropin releasing hormone. That tells your adrenal glands, hey, produce cortisol to bring your blood sugar back up if it's too low. Because people forget that cortisol, the old name used to be glucocorticosteroid. Gluco is glucose.
Right.
Yeah, so that's why cortisol, technically what I try to convey to people is it's very a multitasking hormone. So one of its job is to stabilize blood sugar. One of its job is an anti-inflammatory effect. Another job for cortisol or indirectly with adrenals is electrolyte, sodium balance, that kind of thing with aldosterone. But I think the biggest thing to get across to people is that when you're on that roller coaster of blood sugar and cortisol is released at inappropriate times, you're literally wasting the cortisol. So what I mean by that is that because your cortisol is abnormally high than what it should be, you're wasting that cortisol to control your blood sugar, which if you just ate better and chose better meals and timing, you could control it. So now that cortisol that should have an anti-inflammatory effect on your frozen shoulder or your golfer's elbow or tennis elbow, it's not there. It's being wasted.
Mm.
So that's where it can become a problem. And then the other aspect of this is that when you are not controlling your blood sugar and you're stressed out and your cortisol level is higher than it should be, that's a problem because remember, high cortisol and the problem with maybe cortisone injections for your shoulder, frozen shoulder, is that remember, cortisol is catabolic.
Right.
As
Right.
much as inflammatory, right? So that's this catch-22 of getting a cortisone injection is that, yes, it's anti-inflammatory, but you're actually physically softening the connective tissue and breaking it down in the future. And so when you have high cortisol circulated around chronically, then what ends up happening is you get a lot of tissue breakdown. So if you're a meathead, you're like, oh, cortisol bad because I'm losing muscle mass.
Right.
But if you're on like the brain spectrum of like a Daniel Amen who has a brain clinic and that kind of thing, now you're thinking high cortisol, not good because that's atrophying brain tissue. And then if you're thinking about the context of a gastroenterologist, if you have too much cortisol, now you're not getting that gut lining, the leaky gut to heal.
Right.
So then that goes all back to, well, you're not regulating your blood sugar. So that's why I tell people, look, I know, we're dealing with your bloating, your gas, your indigestion, but we have to make sure that your blood sugar is under control because according to your blood lab markers, your blood sugar is all over the place.
Yeah.
So that's part of the solution long term for their problem.